Hello, good afternoon. My name is Juan Bautista Propato. I'm currently working for Football West in beautiful Western Australia. I'm in charge of player development, coaching development. And today we have a great pleasure to talk to an amigo, Dillon. How are you, mate?
Very good, thank you, Juan, and thank you very much for inviting me on to talk to you today.
Thank you for your time, much appreciated. So just to kick off, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, okay. There's a lot, but the condensed version is I'm currently the pre-academy coordinator at Melbourne Victory Football Club. So I look after the 8s to 14s age group, if you like, and the future players of Melbourne Victory. I've been in Melbourne since October of last year, so just over 6 months now, and it's certainly been an eventful 6 months. Prior to that, I was in New Zealand for around 10 years. I had a variety of roles at both federation, club and national level. And that came after moving to New Zealand in 2008, after growing up in various parts of England and also traveling around to other countries such as America and Japan. So yeah, certainly really excited to be in Melbourne and looking forward to the progress that we can make with our young footballers here.
Perfect. I moved to New Zealand in 2007, so we met a year later.
It's a very fun time that I had, and certainly a time that I know when I first met you, Juan, was really exciting for New Zealand football, and I'm really glad that we've kept in touch the way we have over the years.
Yeah, no, thanks. That's one of the amazing things about football and coaching, or so many friends around the world. So how did you get into the coaching? How everything started?
I was very young. I always had an interest in things beyond just playing. I never had a substantial playing background at all, but I loved the sport, and it was all I did from an early age. And I was fortunate at the time with the college and the school I was involved in that they were very closely tied to a local coaching program. And as with many novice coaches, you start out doing some very basic things and basic jobs, and I was the same. I would help out on holiday programs and after school clubs, putting down cones, rounding up children, all the really basic things. That was probably from the age of maybe 16, 17. And for a few years, it was a nice hobby, and I enjoyed doing it in addition to, continued trying to play and also my studies. And then I probably got to an age of around, maybe 20, 21, where I started to see coaching as a legitimate profession that I wanted to then dedicate that period of my life to. And fast forward another 10 years, I've been fortunate enough now to have been involved in coaching for a long time, but it certainly stemmed from, being a volunteer coach at my local football club, just pursuing a continued interest in football.
How do you see that window, that opportunity? What inspired you to say, this is what I want to do?
I saw that football coaching was something that was beginning to be more of an industry. When I was younger, spent a lot of time studying sports. I went to college and university to study sports. And there was a period of my life between the age of 19 and 21 where I went to America and coached in summer camps. And I loved the fact that I was able to work whilst playing and coaching football. And I got a job soon after. So I met my now wife in America. I got a job soon after in Auckland, which is where she lived at the time, and moved into more of a development role. So I was a development officer. That's obviously where I met you. And I think at that point, it was very early on, maybe 2021, where I knew that I wanted to be involved in football full time for the rest of my life. So it probably wasn't a specific moment in terms of an event or something like that, but there was, a lot of really cool things that were happening at a very formative stage of my life as a late teenager and early 20s that made me decide that, football coaching and development was where I really wanted to focus all of my attention.
Nice. So it was no one thing. It's just almost like you saw the bigger picture, like, and then the light there. And like, I want to be there. I want to be part of this full time.
Yeah, it had already, even at that age, I was able to, be involved in my local football club. I was able to travel overseas. I was able to get, work experience in organisations that I don't think I would have been as excited about if I was involved in any other industry. So even by the age of 20, 21, I'd already managed to travel, a number of places, and I managed to settle on Auckland, which, as we both know, is a beautiful part of the world. So yeah, it certainly wasn't a particular moment, but knowing that already by such a young age, it had given me such enriching life experiences was something that was amazing.
Beautiful. And what about if you think, you're still quite young, about that young Steven coaching, and now through the years with the coaching development manager now, Melbourne Victory, what are those three things that you learned? Yeah, you say, I will give an advice to the coaches that those three things are the ones that I think I grew the most, or I think I did before and I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, sure. And I certainly don't look back on those experiences when I was young or inexperienced as negatives. Like, I'm sure that now there will be some things that I may choose not to do again because of my experience or knowledge in that area. But I think certainly the willingness to go out, to your local football club, to your local organisation, and give up your time for free was probably the biggest thing that I was able to do. Understanding that the sport is an industry and there's a lot of expectations on people gaining salaries or career. Without my willingness to go to my local football club and give up my time for those numbers of years, I don't think any of the additional progress would be possible. Even to the point of when I first arrived in Auckland, I was at a local football club called Three Kings United. And again, I did the same thing. I gave up my time. I went down and put cones down. I picked up bibs. I did team sheets, whatever I needed to do. And I think that's now one thing that when I talk to coaches that are wanting to be involved in the industry or the sport, is that willingness to actually get out there and get a number of experiences in coaching. I think my second piece of advice would be to diversify your experiences and seek knowledge or inspiration or experiences that are not just the same as everybody else. So, to put it in context, there would be hundreds of thousands of coaches in the New Zealand and Australia region who will have very similar journeys in terms of coach education and coaching experiences. But I'd really encourage people to have like a different skill set or something that sets them apart from a number of others. I was fortunate in my early stages that when I was at university, I had a work placement, if you like, with Southampton Football Club when they were League One, and I was working in analysis. So, when I went to New Zealand initially, my point of difference, if you like, was having analysis as part of what I could bring to that local football club. So, and even now, like, my sources of inspiration for the development are not just from football. I look at things from the IT sector, the business sector, leadership, management, school and teaching. So there's all these different areas. So again, second point would be to make sure that you look at different sources for your coaching. And then third would be to observe as many other people as possible working in their environments. It may not necessarily need to be as formal as a mentorship, but going out there, watching, seeing people, seeing how they interact, I think is something that would be of value, whether or not you're a first-time coach and inexperienced, or if you're an experienced coach and you've been coaching for 20, 30 years, that ability to see and observe others in action, I think is vitally important.
Yeah, and on that one, for example, personally, I was lucky enough to watch many sessions around the world. Sometimes you will be surprised that the session finished and the coach, maybe if you're lucky, come and join your hand, shake your hands or whatever, and you just gave him a little feedback. And sometimes they go through the session, oh yeah, plan this, whatever. And it's something amazing how like, wow, this guy from Hamburg, how far, talking to me and playing the session. Otherwise, like, oh, okay, thank you. But so you put yourself into that position. Potentially, the coach will share some ideas with you or some knowledge. Like you say, just seeing something different in that environment is already a learning for yourself, for personal development. Like you say, in Argentina, we say games or whatever, you need to put your working clothes and work for the game, or whatever you want to do, you have to put that, you have to go and pick up the cones or this or whatever. I still do it sometimes when it's an event, we finish and we need to clean up and this. And so that willingness of do something else more, what is supposed to be doing, you are doing always something more. And also when you do your first step, makes sense that you want to get further, but you need to give more as well. So it has to be both ways, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, coaching isn't an easy profession, and it shouldn't be a relatively simple journey from beginner or novice all the way through into being a coaching expert or someone that's really experienced. So and I think that the players deserve that as coaches we do a solid education program, we get lots of experiences, and we're seen to be putting a lot of work in. We all know how hard it is for players to make it to the top. And, I think that should be the same for coaches as well, that, it's not going to be an easy thing to progress really, really quickly. But, if you do good work and you do what you say and you commit to certain people, then that gets noticed. And then, you can move relatively quickly, to where you want to be. So it's, it's, as you'll know, Juan, coaching's hard. It's difficult. And, it's certainly a reminder to a lot of coaches as well that, the rewards can come, but you've got to do the work. You've got to be prepared to do the work.
And the other one you mentioned is about that toolbox expanding. And even myself, I like football, but in New Zealand, I learned a lot from the All Blacks national conference with the All Blacks, Stephen talking, and all the way they learn the winning way and even working together and all these things when it's not just about football, like you say. The All Blacks and other sports, there's so much to learn, but sometimes you just need to be open-minded and say, wow, these guys are amazing. They went to the finals of World Cup, they lost, and they changed, and then they won back-to-back World Cups because they did this. And then change everything around. I mean, last World Cup, they lost the World Cup, but they're still the most successful rugby nation in the world with only 4.5 million. So they are doing something right. Like you say, there are few things that we could implement in football and learn from the best.
Yeah. I mean, coaching, I think generally, or the process of coaching is very similar regardless of what sport you're into. And I think, certainly what we're doing, even with our coaches here at Melbourne Victory now, is encouraging, people to connect with other sports and, look into new areas of study which they might not have considered before. And I think that, a lot of coaches generally will find there are so many similarities between coaching rugby league, yachting, golf, football, whatever it might be. So I think you can get so many messages, from those other sports. And I'd certainly encourage coaches, as we're doing now, to kind of look at these different sources rather than always going to the football source. Again, ultimately you come back to that, but having the willingness to go and look at other places is really important.
What about if you need to mention one or two mentors that you have in your life that you kind of change or adapt, or something that person have for you as a mentor?
I find it a hard question because I never really feel like I've had like a coach-mentor relationship in terms of, we agree that we're going to be mentors and we agree that this is how things are going to go. I've kind of always maintained really strong relationships with people that I hold in really high regard. The two that probably spring to mind, one would be Rob Sherman. Rob gave me an incredible opportunity at New Zealand Football to be part of, leading coach education in that region, and someone who was able to skillfully work with me to develop my own thought processes, my football knowledge, my ability to communicate with others. And again, I've got the utmost admiration for him. The second would be Andy Rogers, now at Sport NZ. Andy has just this incredible way of dealing with people, seems to better connect with people from different sports on a variety of levels incredibly easy. And I've found that any interactions that I've had with him have always been really positive and really beneficial. And then there's probably one last one, actually, which would be David Parker. So David Parker was my CEO at Auckland Football, and gave me again, an opportunity at a young age to be part of the football development team. And I always felt that with David, any conversation I had with him, I always came out feeling 6 foot taller, like in terms of my confidence. And he was very generous with his time. And there are a variety of other people, and like I said, I don't think I would ever consider any of them mentors, nor would I think that any of them would probably consider me a mentee. But I felt like I had and still have a relationship with them where I felt that if I did want to ask them any questions around coaching or leadership or business, they would be more than open to sharing those things. So yeah, I don't think I've ever had a formal mentor relationship, but again, the idea that you should be observing, watching, asking, seeking feedback, again, that they apply whether you have a formal mentor or not. So yeah, they would be my main three, but I'm doing a disservice to the hundreds of other people that have helped to shape me in those last 10 years.
Yeah, it's many times it's a difficult question, isn't it? Because through your journey of coaching in different places, different organizations, you meet fantastic people, and it's almost like you say, pieces from here and there, and then it kind of, you have your own way, and then you kind of take the best from everyone, try to make yourself better, and then keep going forward and keep, like you say in our other sports, keep always open to keep learning and keep developing.
Yeah, and it's been interesting, Juan, because I don't think of all of those people, no one's ever told me this is how you should do your job, or this is the areas of study you need to look at. They were very much kind of in the background, there when I needed them, and probably helped me more with the softer interpersonal skills and how to connect with people and how to talk to people, as opposed to specific football knowledge on coaching or coach education. There was certainly a part of that, and that I'm not downplaying its importance, but it's interesting reflecting as you're talking there around what I felt I got from them was more around how they dealt with other people and how they dealt with me, as opposed to what they were telling me, if that makes sense.
I guess it maybe it's also linked to you about the way you learn. Then you take it in because that's the way you learn. Maybe other people want them, I want you to do this, so they expect, sometimes even players, I think less and less, they expect the coach to tell them what to do, but maybe you are one of those that it kind of, well, this is the route, this is the route, and then like, oh yeah, I go that way, I go that way, I go that way.
Yeah, and I hope that's how I'm perceived, certainly now, within my role here at Melbourne Victory. I have a number of coaches I work alongside, and I certainly want to be seen as someone that provides support, as opposed to, telling them that this is what needs to be done. And you know, I trust people around me. Like, I have an optimism around the people that I work with, and I do believe that everybody has their own strengths that they can bring to a team. And I certainly think a lot of the experiences I've had with those people and others in my career have no doubt had a significant impact on now how I lead other people that I now work with.
Yeah, and I guess you mentioned a few elements of, as I remember, the All Blacks about the trust, and then follow, and you do by example. And what's one of the main values is, and then if you lead by example, and then people could follow you, but it's not the way, Steven way. It's just almost like a guideline and support, and they trust you. Then and you have that connection, isn't it? Without trust, without connection, it's difficult to people to engage with you, and then to trust and say, Steven, what do you think about this? Or I have this problem. It's hard for someone to come to you and say that, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. And I think generally, like, your success is never achieved on your own. You know, as much as a lot of people like to think that they are the sole reason potentially for success, I'm a firm believer that a success of a team or organization is, you know, reflected by the work that the group of people do together, whether that be as a group of players or a group of coaches. And, you know, I'm the same here now. You know, the success that I might have as a leader in the pre-academy is determined by the success of all the staff around me, or the success of the support systems within the club, or the success of our relationships that we have with local clubs. So I very much see myself as being someone that can help build that trust and help build that connection, as opposed to being like the central point. And I certainly think that if you're building a team around one person, or you're building an organization around one person, it's quite a dangerous place to be, because as soon as that person's removed, then all of your work potentially can get undone. So yeah, I give trust automatically in any new relationship, in any new business context. I think people deserve the admiration to be trusted. And then certainly I want to be seen that, you know, they are doing what they can to nourish that trust, and doing all the good things that should be expected of someone in this type of business.
And again, if I was on the other side, when you feel that someone trusts you, it's almost like, I don't want to let Steven down, you know, I need to do this, you know, because I don't want to let Steven down. I mean, it's not that you say, hey, Juan, don't let me down, but it's that feeling when I know you trust me and say, Juan, you know, can you do this for me, or whatever, or you give me something to do that you did when we were in New Zealand football together, and I'm like, no, I need to do this perfect, and I need to even tell me, and then have that almost like that leadership role that you gave me to deliver. And that's how I felt when you did it to me. You know?
Thank you. And look, I don't think that it's the perfect thing to do. I don't even think it's the right thing to do. I just think that it suits me, and it suits the way that I work. And, you know, I certainly don't ever believe that there is a truth in terms of this is how you should manage, or this is how you should lead. You know, there's not a formula or a textbook. There's tons of formulas and tons of textbooks. So I certainly encourage people, whether it be coaches, coach developers, you know, to find their own way. You'll be influenced by people along the way, no doubt. But I like to think that now, having been involved in that realm for a number of years, that I'm very comfortable with who I am. And yeah, but I certainly don't. I certainly don't think that everybody should copy me, or copy their boss, or copy their leader. You find your own way eventually. But yeah, always know that there's someone else that does it differently, who gets just as good of results as you do. So I think that's always an important thing for me to remember, that, you know, my way isn't necessarily right. It's just the way that suits me at this moment in time.
Good point. So we're going to finish the interview soon, but one more question I have is about what advice would you give to the players and coaches in these times?
I think at the moment we're flooded with a lot of information around, you know, coaching and playing, and I think generally, and even at Melbourne Victory, we're trying to do all we can to make sure that we can continue to help people. Everybody's circumstances at the moment are extremely different, whether it be in their personal lives or in their business lives or in their coaching lives. So our advice to our coaches is to make the most of this opportunity. For some, I know it will be very challenging, and we're doing all we can at the moment to make sure that if any of our coaches do need any assistance, that they know they've got somebody to talk to. And I think that's got to be the priority, that it's person first, and then feeding into opportunities to develop themselves. So I think that would be the main one. I think for both players and coaches is to remain optimistic and not to get too downbeat at this stage, because it's easily doable. And then for both players and coaches is just to continue to work away at what you're good at and your craft. And for coaches, that might be to coach education, could be webinars like this, it could be courses, it could be, again, not just football, anywhere. And with players to continue, within their constraints at home, to continue playing football, whether it be in the garden, whether it be in the lounge. If you've got a field outside, is to really make sure that you continue to play. I know a lot of people, certainly players, fell in love with football, through playing in the garden. They fell in love with football. They played with their brothers and sisters. They played on their own. So I think it's a good time to go back to remembering why they did start to play in the first place. But yeah, there's certainly no shortage of things to do. And we're at Melbourne Victory. We're providing a number of activities and games and tasks, not for homework, but just to keep the passion and to ignite the love of football. Whilst we are in this period, and then when we come back, making sure that both of our coaches and our players are in a better place than what they were, prior to leaving. So there's definitely some positives in this, and I'm an optimist, and I think there can be. But I certainly think that coaches and players can make the most of this time, regardless of the context or situation they're in.
Yeah, the main message you say is about keeping positive, keep busy, and then the ball will be rolling again soon, isn't it?
Yeah, we hope so, and we're patient enough to know that this could be another 4 weeks, it could be another 8 weeks. We don't really know, but I think football organisations, coaches and players have got to be ready when that point does happen. And I'm sure it'll be a great time for everybody to get back and get back to all being involved in the game that we all love.
Perfect. Anything else that you want to say that we didn't cover?
Not so much, but again, just to extend my appreciation to you, Juan, for the invitation. I think these things are vitally important to support your local community. And I've got no doubt whatsoever that you'll continue to do a great work in this area. So thank you for those that are tuned in and listened. And hopefully parts of my story will maybe inspire you to do one or two things that you may not have done already.
Thank you, Stephen, for the opportunity. Thank you for your time. I wish you all the best for you and your family. I'm very sure I'm going to see you soon in Melbourne, or maybe when you come down to Western Australia. Take care, my friend.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.
See ya. Bye-bye.